Start streaming. All right. Hopefully we don't have any connection issues like last time, because I did notice the video was a little laggy. So welcome back, everyone, to the Degree 45 podcast. My name is Jeremy from the Weekly Narrative. We're here with Matt from Cut Productions and Danielle from That's Just My Opinion. We did have a guest scheduled for this week. Did not appear. So we're just going to go ahead with the regularly scheduled programming of the three of us and go from there. We do have guests scheduled for next week, and the week we have guests booked out for like the next month. So don't go anywhere, okay? We're going to have lots of guests. So I think the first and most obvious, most important news item that I wanted to bring up to you guys today is the royal wedding. Now, I just want to get a quick yes or no. Do you care about the royal wedding? Cut.
No.
Danielle, do you care about the royal wedding?
No.
Okay, so on to the next topic of the week. I think the most pertinent one is going to be the school shooting that happened.
I don't think we're live, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not seeing us live either, Jeremy.
Oh, sorry. I got to click one more button on Facebook.
All right, let's redo that. Everybody read exactly what we just did.
It was just a warm up, just a dress rehearsal. So welcome everyone to the Degree 45 podcast.
All right, let's
No, we're live. Now we're live. Welcome to the Degree 45 podcast.
Live.
Yeah, we're doing it live. I'm Jeremy from Weekly Narrative. That's Cut from Cut Productions right up there above me, and then Danielle from That's Just My Opinion on Facebook. We are Degree 45 podcast. Welcome back. We had a guest scheduled for this week. He did not show up. Another flake out, which is a little unfortunate. But you know what? We got such good chemistry that we can just go ahead and do it by ourselves. No problem. We do have guests booked out for like the next month and a half. A lot of interesting guests coming up. I don't want to drop any names right now. But, stay tuned. We'll be dropping some names on the Facebook page and whatnot once we get closer to the dates. But let's start it off with the most important and relevant topic of the week. And I just want to say that's going to be the royal wedding for me. And so, Cut, just a quick yes or no. Do you care about the royal wedding?
Fuck no.
All right. Danielle, do you care about the royal wedding at all? All right, well, I don't either. So let's just move on to the next topic. And that's going to be, for me, I think the most interesting thing that happened is this school shooting. Did you guys hear about this?
No, I did. It was I did 10 dead, 10 victims, Texas. That's all I know. That's
10 Texas. Yeah, so I'm curious. Now, that's, why do you only know that much? Because the media is not covering it as much as they covered the Parkland shooting. Did you guys notice that? Maybe you didn't.
Yeah, I avoided it this weekend. I'll be honest. The shooting actually set me off in a weird way. Just the identifying of the shooter and everything. I posted on my personal political page how I was just infuriated with the media coverage of it. How everything's immediately politicized. I just kind of avoided. Honestly, both of my news apps and watching the news, reading the news for about 24 hours. So when I came back on, I realized, it's not like every headline is about this shooting. And that is what Parkland was for about a month. And honestly, we still hear about Parkland. You look up any school shooting. I was looking into school shootings today to prepare for today's, discussion that we're on right now. And look up Texas shooting, and there's more about Parkland shootings on YouTube than there is about the Texas shootings right now. Updates. They want to immediately go into Parkland. There's so much information on Parkland, but not as much on Texas. And I'm interested. Why do you think that's the thing, Jeremy?
Well, number one is there wasn't an AR-15 used. Weapon of choice was not an AR-15. He used a sawed-off shotgun and a pistol, .38 pistol.
Two totally different assault weapons.
Belonged to his dad.
Right. Got it from his dad. So there's no argument there for, against gun purchasing regulations. There's no argument against banning AR-15s. They can't use those. They can't continue with those narratives with this story. And I don't understand why they don't go after shotguns. I mean, shotguns are way deadlier than AR-15s, in my opinion. So that's a little confusing, but maybe because they realize that if they start talking about shotguns now, everyone's going to ask, hey, why weren't you bringing up shotguns before? Why are you so focused on the AR-15?
Well, it's not even just the AR-15. This kid put explosive devices in the school. You know, it's
Mhm.
and it's I harp on this whole copycat shooting thing. This guy wore a trench coat. You know, that brings me back to Columbine, which I've researched tirelessly because I am very fixated on this epidemic that is mass shootings. Why is this recently become an epidemic? Why is this constantly occurring? Whereas you see the AR-15, I believe, was assembled in 1959 sold for the first time in 1959. So why all of a sudden in the 2000s is there's this upsurge of mass shootings, and we're going to blame it on AR-15s, and we're going to call them assault rifles, and we're going to say that, you know, this is the reason we need gun control? I don't think so. I think that society is to blame, and I'm really, really very adamant on that. And if you think that a criminal is not going to get his hands on a gun or any sort of weapon, regardless if you took a gun from him, this kid planned explosive devices. I mean, less than 18 years old, and these people are sick, and you just need to talk about it.
It's interesting that you mentioned that they're happening with increased frequency. I don't know the statistics behind that. I did at one point, but I don't think that's actually true. I think what's happening is that we are social media and media in general is so abundant in our society today that any little thing that does happen, we hear about, and we hear about it for a long time, and we hear about it for such a long time after it happens, like Parkland, for example, that it seems like it's just constantly happening. Like there's always a school shooting happening. And CNN has been using this fake number online on their Twitter and all these other places, saying that this is the 22nd shooting of the year. Now, if you look at their criteria for how they're judging what is a school shooting and what isn't a school shooting, they're including things like
Suicide.
shootings that didn't even include students, shootings that happen with BB guns, like not actual real shootings. A lot of really stupid, frivolous things that don't really classify as school shootings, but they're using it to fluff the numbers up to make it seem, and that's why it seems like there are lots of school shootings happening, because everyone wants you to believe that school shootings are a big deal and they're becoming frequent things, and they're like a plague on society.
I do think copycat, the whole copycat killers is a thing that's happening now. The media puts so much attention on these killers. You know, I knew the name before I knew even what happened, type of thing. Well, not with this case because he's a juvenile. They had to withhold the name for a while. But I posted about it on my page. We don't even have time to mourn the lives lost before we are hearing somebody whisper gun control. Somebody's pushing an agenda on the left about gun reform. Why does this tragedy automatically have to turn into a politicized issue? It eventually obviously will, but gun control really, there's 10 lives lost. There's been another tragic school shooting. I don't know how long it's been since the last, but it hasn't been that long. Society, oh my God, I'm sick with the news lately.
Well, did you look at the, so the fact that he was wearing a black trench coat every day. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but the kid wore a black trench coat to school like every single day. Now, there weren't a lot of reference to Columbine. He was also wearing some of the symbols that Dylan Klebold wore back when he did the shooting in Columbine. He was wearing a symbol. This is the other reason why you're not seeing it in the media, because he was wearing the Iron Cross, which is a National Socialist Nazi symbol, but he was also wearing a red star and a hammer and sickle for communism. And he was wearing some other stuff too, like a Cthulhu pin and some other stupid things. But he posted specifically on, I think it was Facebook, why he was wearing each individual one. And he said, the hammer and sickle was for rebellion or something like that. So, I mean, you hear all these socialists and communists in the media and at these marches and protests crying about resist. And then this guy is wearing a communist hammer and sickle and shoots a bunch of kids and says rebellion. Maybe
it's to make a stance. It's to prove a point. It's to further an agenda. And I hate to say that. And I'm not even going to, this isn't me pinning it on the Democratic Party, of course, but I've seen statistics, and we've all seen the statistics, where the shootings are happening at the hands of people who identify as Democrats, people who, are left-leaning, et cetera, et cetera. I feel like each shooting is a an agenda pushing event more than it is a tragedy, and these people are either copycat killers because they want the fame or because they're delusional and think that they're going to change the world for, whatever purpose, whatever it is. No sane person's going and shooting up a school regardless, but
well, here's the thing.
Just not to cut in too much here, but
with
the shootings, I'm going to go ahead and cut in here real quick. Didn't he also have bombs planted elsewhere? And wasn't there also supposedly an accomplice? There was an accomplice as well. Somebody else that was arrested. That was.
They had people they were questioning because they were acting suspiciously.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think anything came out of that. And he did have bombs planted off campus.
Okay, but the bombs didn't hurt anybody.
No.
That even if you take guns away, they'll use alternatives.
Yeah,
so,
he was using pressure cookers. So what are we going to outlaw? Kitchen utensils and cooking items?
It goes to show, and it's on my page. Like I said, I go on and on and on because this just tires me with how infuriating it is to me personally. I don't understand the logic behind. You think that a criminal is going to suddenly abide by the law. You think that a hellbent murderer is suddenly not going to be hellbent on murder, regardless if you take away, first of all, you take away the gun, their gun rights, whatever. Like they're not going to get a gun. Even if they can't, like they're not going to use something else as a fucking weapon. Like they can't use a lamp. Come on. I mean, it makes me so mad. Sorry about me.
Or just start a fire.
One of the guys said, the last 23 out of 24 last shooters, psychotropic drugs had some sort of part with the shooter. The left or the right not talking about it. I think that I agree with that. As far as mainstream media, you're not really hearing the talks about.
Well, everyone's funded by Big Pharma. If you watch CNN.
Donald Trump didn't take $1 from Big Pharma.
I mean, media is
media. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So if you watch CNN or Fox, it's pathetically hilarious because you go to the commercials after you watch your Hannity, and what do you see? Oh, take Trelexa.
Drug commercials.
Yeah. Oh, do you feel tired or lonely today? Are you a male between the ages of 45 and 60? Do you have low energy, a low sex drive?
Do you suffer from headaches?
Yeah. Do you suffer from headaches? Take this. Side effects may include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, bloody eye sockets, everything, and just for headaches.
Suicidal thoughts.
Right.
Yeah.
But you won't. But you won't shit your pants anymore.
Yeah, so, these companies who are funding these, because what happens every time something goes wrong in a media outlet? Who do they go for first? If Sean Hannity says something bad, or, what's her name, the lesbian on MSNBC says something bad, what do? They go after the advertisers. Mad out.
Oh, yeah.
If they say something, they go for the advertisers. So you can't have these people say, Big Pharma, all these people are going crazy after taking these pharmaceutical drugs, and then immediately cut to a drug commercial from Pfizer. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't go with their narrative. And that's something that we can call out the right and the left on this one, because he's right. That is a huge issue. And that's one of the trends with all these shooters is that they're on these psychotropic drugs. One of the other trends that we're starting to see is that these are all male, not all, sorry. A lot of these are males coming from fatherless households or single parent households or foster households. Basically, their parents are terrible or they don't exist. So these kids, this fat kid that shot up this school in the trench coat, he had one of the main possible motives that came out was that he was getting revenge for the girl that he liked. Humiliated him in class because he kept asking her out or whatever. He kept bugging her. That's not how you treat your crush.
Was she one of the victims? Was she one of the victims?
Yeah. That was
dead or injured?
Dead. That's the main motive as of right now. And there's two things on that I wanted to mention. It's the fatherless household thing, that your fathers aren't teaching kids how to behave in school anymore, how to behave around other people, how to treat your crush. They're not teaching you how to wash your hair. This kid, they complained that he smelled weird. But other than that, he was kind of nice, kind of quiet. But,
his is weird.
He was just weird. Yeah, if he had a father around to teach him how to be an assertive man,
or a mentor, or just some sort of mentor.
Something.
But he didn't have criminal records or anything.
No, he didn't have, you know, that we know of. He didn't have any records of, like, you know, abusing animals or anything like that.
Than last guy.
Right. So it's not. It doesn't seem on paper as bad as the last guy, but still, you know, the absence of a positive influence in this guy's life definitely contributed to that, and. Now we know that is probably the main motive that he had. I think it's interesting and super pathetically hypocritical that guys like Sean King are going on Facebook, and before we even know anything about this, it's oh, look, another white male shooter who had ties to the Nazi party because he was wearing an Iron Cross on his shirt. You know what I mean? They don't mention that he also had the Communist Cross, and that he did it because he was upset about the girl. They don't mention that he was, you know, they think he was racist, but they don't mention the fact about the girl or none of that stuff, or the fact that he shot a bunch of white people.
Where did you get the info from, Jeremy? The info you're talking about. What source did you have?
Conglomeration of media, alternative media outlets, YouTube, other websites online.
I could send you the most ridiculous meme that I almost don't even want to mention because it was posted by a friend of mine. Y'all know I have liberal friends, but
we can put it up. Send it to Jeremy.
You know, anyways, I'll send it to you in a second. But it just basically deters the entire situation to society has issues that building a wall won't fix, and it turns this shooting situation into now illegal immigration out of nowhere. And it's literally all this meme said to me very, very, very clearly was, we hate Donald Trump. Left hates Donald Trump, whether it's legal immigration, whether it's gun control, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. They're going to find a way. You're going to bring the wall into this? What the? Okay, I guess because maybe Texas borders Mexico. I don't know how that plays in. I'll send it to you, Jeremy.
That's Trump derangement syndrome at work there. That's like a stage 4 advanced Trump derangement syndrome that you're listing right there. And one of the things I do want to talk about this. Actually, we're learning more and more about the Parkland shooting, like we mentioned earlier, and a lot of this stuff, you know, we're linking it to drugs, we're linking it to like a fatherless homes, but if you really look at the story behind the Parkland shooting and the history of the events leading up to the shooting, there's a really strong case to be made that political correctness itself and the rise and the spread of political correctness was the actual direct cause for that shooting, or one of the direct causes for that shooting. And
Jeremy, PC is not actually correct?
It may be correct, but it's not always right. Because here's the thing. So the Broward County, or the district that the Parkland was part of, they were kind of striving for this grant, this large millions of dollars in grants, and to get this, they needed to have a certain number of incidents, a certain number of disciplinary actions taken against their students, a certain amount of minorities and quote unquote disabled people being caught up in this system and being, punished or reprimanded for whatever reason or another. Cruz was a troubled kid who had multiple run-ins with the disciplinary factions within the school system, and eventually what happened was, instead of going to the cops, who were called many, many times to his house without any arrests, instead of going to them, the school basically said, hey, we can handle this by ourselves, and they were going to put him in their program for troubled kids. But because they didn't want him to be another statistic, they didn't want another Hispanic statistic going against their record, he ended up going without getting any marks on his record that would have prevented him from being able to buy a gun in the first place. So would it have prevented the shooting overall? No, maybe not. But if he had an actual record, a criminal record, or some kind of mental health record publicly, if he wouldn't have actually been caught or reported, he wouldn't have been able to purchase the gun. He may have been able to steal a gun from his dad or from a neighbor or something like that, but he wouldn't have had that outlet to go and purchase a gun. And the most ironic thing about that is now, because of this shooting, everyone wants higher regulations on purchasing guns. That wasn't the problem in this scenario. It was political correctness that prevented him from even getting a criminal record in the first place, that would have prevented him from getting a gun. So Just
I agree.
a follow up to the Parkland. I've been kind of watching that and how that's been developing. Yeah, the Promise program. Richard mentions it in chat. They have a program in that school district called the Promise program. You can look it up, watch some videos on it online. It's it's basically with all the troubled kids. They said, let us take care of them, leave the police out of it. They had over 1,000 incidents in a 3-year period, I think it was, of their students being arrested or reprimanded or cops being called to the school. It was a really, really troubled school district. So they had a lot of reason to try and fluff the statistics and keep the numbers down as far as, more minorities becoming part of those statistics.
The left hates that the statistics generally don't lean in their favor as far as, like you said, you can't be PC and then add the statistic. You can't, all these shooters, I don't want to say all because, somebody's going to jump the gun and freak out, but a lot of these shooters are identifying as left-leaning, Democrat, et cetera, et cetera. Being PC, whether or not you are PC, politically correct, I feel that I'm only politically correct in certain situations so that I can be engaging in this political conversation in a formal, respectful way. A lot of times PC is a lot of BS.
Well, we need facts, and there's no more investigative journalism anymore. It's one of the big problems that we have in society. There's no more deep dives
it's tough.
into what happened. What actually happened. What were the events leading up to this? How did this happen? It's not just in the shooting, but in anything anymore. There's no more deep looks into anything that aren't absolute travesties of journalism, that end up being like the hit piece against Jordan Peterson. And the New York Times came out 2 days ago. Horrifyingly terrible piece of journalism where they were talking about how his eyebrows look like cat eyebrows and he has a feline personality, and they don't ever refer to him as Dr. Peterson. They just call him Mr. Peterson. They say
he's
that
a doctor?
He's a doctor, but they disrespect him. They don't do basic research. That it's supposed to be like an in-depth article on the guy, and there's nothing of substance there. It's clearly just an emotional hit piece. I do have the meme you sent me up. I'll put it up on the screen now. Do you want to talk about that real quick?
Let's look at some memes.
I don't even know what to say about it. I saw it, and sorry to a friend if you see this that I posted this, but you're lucky I didn't comment under it and make you look stupid. This meme is absolutely obnoxious. It relates the Texas shooting to the the wall. If everyone can read it, this is a 17-year-old. This is 17-year-old, whatever the hell his name is. Today, he shot and killed 8 people at his Santa Fe high school. He's not Muslim. He's not an ISIS. He's yet another, homegrown terrorist whose Facebook page is all about supporting Nazis and guns. Sorry, I read that backwards, but you get the gist. America.
It's by Occupy Democrats. Well, it's legit. It's legit.
Wait to the end, though. America, we have a serious problem, which I can agree with, society. I will put this out there all the time. We have a serious problem in society, so we agree on that point, that a wall won't fix. When the hell did this become a discussion about immigration in the slightest? When I don't understand how we go, oh, we've got this shooter, he's identifying with Nazis, he loves guns. Building a wall is not going to fix this. It's like, whoa, wait, you're not even talking about gun control anymore. You're not even, blah, blah, blah about gun control. You're literally spitting shit about something completely off topic.
Yeah, well, that's like what I was saying. It's Trump derangement syndrome. It's the same thing that guys like Sean King and all these other guys on CNN do. They see something happen immediately, and they use that as a quick emotional outburst that can aim at whatever they happen to be thinking about or looking at that particular moment in time. If it's the wall, if it's racism, whatever it is, they're gonna just blast and just regurgitate out this hatred. Basically, is what it is. But
it really is.
Yeah,
go ahead, Jeremy.
That's just a common symptom of Trump derangement syndrome, in my opinion. That's all that is. There is no relation.
I was doing a bunch of research today because I had free time, and for some reason I just decided to look up the actual definition of bigotry, and I don't want to quote it word for word, but it's basically disliking another group because they don't agree with your opinion. And I think that that's so funny that we get called bigots and so on and so forth. And I'm like, the left fits this definition that's popping up on Google very, very well. If you want to look up the definition of bigotry, it's genuinely like, hello, I'm a liberal.
Well, that's why we call them the tolerant left, right?
Yeah, it's intolerance towards another group's views is basically what the definition is. And it's so funny because the right can't be anything but a bigot, et cetera, et cetera. But when I read that definition, I was bigot. When I read, sorry, there's a fruit fly in my face. And when I read the definition,
I mean, can you think of one speaker that was a liberal speaker that was refused to speak or denied speaking rights on a college campus, on a university? One liberal speaker that wasn't given a right to talk at a college campus?
Y'all know how much
after being invited as well?
Y'all know how much I love Ben Shapiro, and he writes a book on this, Indoctrinating the Youth, and I finished it a long time ago. I recommend it to everyone who's watching, and I'll
weekly Ben Shapiro plug.
Yeah, Ben Shapiro. By the way, Ben Shapiro, guys, check him out.
I'm here. I don't
know if you guys heard.
This book, Indoctrinating the Youth, talks exactly about that cut. You know what?
Oh, well, hold on. Because
it talks about
there's other guys. What about Milo? Milo got kicked. You know what? Milo and Ben don't like each other. Do you like Milo?
I don't care about
Milo. Let me tell you why Milo would kick Ben Shapiro's ass in a debate.
Okay? I want to hear. Let's go.
Milo has been Milo's way bigger than Ben Shapiro. Way big.
Okay.
Believe me.
Are we talking
many
about
ways than one.
What are we like?
He's talking physically because Ben Shapiro's
he's taller than Ben Shapiro. He's definitely wittier. He's definitely gayer.
Oh, no way.
Oh, yeah.
I think Ben's gayer, actually.
Jeremy.
I think,
Ben Shapiro is great. And you know what? I don't even want to have this discussion anymore. You're just, going to deter him from...
Here's another thing off of this topic. The interesting thing is when you go to these events, which I've been to 1,000, you know, all these guys like Dave Rubin, Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, the first thing that they do when it comes to the Q&A section is they say... We want anyone who disagrees with us to come to the front of the line. You get to cut to the front. We want to talk to people who disagree with us. That's not bigotry. That's not being intolerant. And they don't trash these people when they do that. They answer the question respectfully. Most of the time. I mean, if the person asking the question is being a dick about it, then they usually be a dick back, but they answer respectfully, and they're doing that because that's how you win people over. Is you take your best shot at someone, and then when they deflect it or answer back in a way that you can't rebut, that's how people get won over.
Yeah, and I finished up my school year, but one of my philosophy classes, we had term knowledge and what is genuine knowledge, and genuine knowledge is being able to identify your own opinion, your own beliefs on this based off of what you've looked into, and then be able to listen to somebody else's, critique them, but also absorb what they're saying, and then go back and relook and learn the truth. And that's knowledge. That's genuine knowledge. And you can't get genuine knowledge if you don't listen. I listen to the left's, what I would like to term as BS. Every day, I would say, I get on CNN to see, the comparison of the headlines. I like to listen to leftist debates. I like to listen to debates on YouTube more than I like to listen to speeches. Of course, I listen to Ben's speeches, but Piers Morgan and Ben Shapiro debate's a great debate.
The Alex Jones and Piers debate is the best debate for Piers.
It's hilarious. It's great.
Hilarious. They almost get in a fight. He's challenging him to a boxing match at the end.
But
the cool thing is back to Milo though. The thing that's great about Milo is that
back in England.
Shapiro, there were people pissed off, but they stormed the streets when Milo came to town in Berkeley. It was nuts. Shapiro didn't get that kind of reaction. Yeah. They were tearing up the school when Milo was there.
Well,
Milo pisses off the left more than anyone. And the funny thing is he's gay, in case you didn't know.
Yeah.
And he's an immigrant. So I just think
And he's
that's
a Jew.
amazing.
And he married a black
And he's
guy.
a Jew that is a practicing Catholic, and he married a black guy. So he's like everywhere. He's like everywhere. And a lot of the things about him is what the left preaches that the right needs more acceptance for, except for his political beliefs.
Right. And y'all know I just say I love Ben more than Milo because I can't say that I love anyone more than Ben.
So, you probably got a better shot with Ben than with Milo.
You're right. I'm going to message him after this show and see how true that is. No.
And Jeremy got a better shot with Milo than you do.
Y'all can try Milo. I'll try Ben. No, but man, I missed my point. Y'all go ahead. Somebody.
All right, so we had a question here saying, where do the three of us stand on open borders? I think we cleared that one
Close
up.
them.
Top form, close them. Freedom of speech.
Border is a term.
What? That's all you can say about open borders? You don't have any other? You can't elaborate on that opinion at all?
What do you want me to? Yeah, I can give more opinions.
I was mostly talking to Cut, but yeah, I'm just curious.
Oh,
why?
It doesn't matter, Jeremy.
Why are you not for open borders?
Why am I not for open borders?
Yeah.
The same reason why I lock my doors at night and I have a door on my place. I don't want people in here that aren't supposed to be in here. I don't want to pay for taxes for people living off of the land and not working for a living and having anchor babies, and just leaving them here and doing whatever they want, paying taxes for them, committing crimes, bringing in gangs like MS-13 and drug cartels. I don't know if that's enough reasons, but that's my top 10, I would say. Also, the people coming in, and I'm sure some of them are good people, but they're bringing in rapists, they're bringing in murderers, But
So what you're saying is all immigrants are rapists.
No, what I'm saying is I'm for legal immigration, not illegal. We are a country and a sovereign nation, and I think the best thing is for us to have borders. I know that's not very libertarian of me to say, but that's what I believe, and I will continue to articulate what I believe because I believe what I believe is right.
Jeremy, do you have a different view? I want to hear it because I could go on and on like Cut with like a million other points too. But like if you have a different view, I want to hear yours.
Well, yeah, I just think that if everyone is human and they deserve to have a safe place to live. I mean, if America was burning down and you could just walk across to Mexico, would you take the chance? Would you do it?
I think I'd be safer in a burning down America than walking over to Mexico. Maybe I'd walk to Canada.
Theoretically, if Mexico was better.
But the thing is, America's not large enough to harbor everyone who wants in, and the people who want in are doing it illegally. They're doing it in the wrong way. I know that the legal process is a difficult process. I know it takes a while, et cetera, but they can hurt our economy if they come in, they take up housing, they take up, more than that. They're not paying, a lot of these immigrants, if they're illegal, they aren't paying taxes. They're working, you hear the big argument that they'll work jobs at a cheaper rate, than most Americans will. Well, I love that argument because I can take that argument and say, yeah, and they're taking jobs from hardworking Americans who want these jobs at their pay grade, which they are promised, which is minimum wage. I believe in immigration. I believe that, America, whatever, open your borders to the legal immigrants who actually want to work for their place here.
That's the problem. I'm not just
then yeah, maybe we, open a bridge, but until then, let's, take the year to do our application, submit it the right way. Let's not be hopping over walls to get in.
I'm not just for deporting illegal immigrants. I'm also for deporting people who live off of the system when they can work for a living. I'm for people who are criminals and drug cartels who are American citizens. I think we should get rid of all the shit that is on the streets. And you also look at it. We have the most incarcerated. We have our prisons. We have more people in prison in the United States than all the other countries combined have people incarcerated. Or there's more people here incarcerated in the United States. So I think there's a lot of trash that we already have and a lot of problems that we already have. We don't need to bring in more from other countries. I think, and our veterans are treated poorly. So if we're going to bring in people from other countries and let them do whatever the hell they want here, then we're not a nation. I don't think. I think we should take care of our own first. We can't take care of our own. How the hell are we going to take care of some guy that's bringing 50 kids from Mexico over?
Interesting.
I'm answering a question in the comments that says,
or Guatemala or Canada or wherever the fuck else. So
why not close borders between states? I want to answer a comment, and I was going to answer it via the comments, but because the United States, even though we have separate states, we have separate, federal level, state level, local level, government, et cetera, et cetera. I would say the reason we don't border states is because we are a union. We're in the United States. We're a country. As we're speaking right now, the three of us, the border we're speaking of is the United States border, not the border between the states. And I think that immigration's at a federal level, and I don't just think that, I know that, or a lot of it is. I guess California thinks that they can be a sanctuary state, and the mayor thinks that they can warn criminals that the law is coming to get them, and that's suddenly like appropriate. But
there are borders between states, though. It's not like a wall, but there are borders. It's like, I got to pay, you guys are in different states. You pay different taxes than I do. You have different ways of regulating your government than I do, and different people in office than I do.
Well, that goes down to counties. When I drove from Reno back to Sacramento the other day, I had to go through a checkpoint. There was a guy there who looked at my car, and I had to go through. It was a wall, but I could drive my car through the wall. So in a sense, there are walls. But it's the United States of America. If we wanted to break it up into just the states of America, then I would be in favor of building a wall around California, keeping everyone in.
Yeah, and that wall will be huge. I think. I actually think it should go down California, maybe around Mexico, somehow come up and just do a loop around Illinois, and then come back down. And then just
I saw a funny meme that said the United States should sell California to Mexico, and then everybody's problems will be solved because everybody will be happy.
Well, people are leaving California in record numbers, and states like Colorado and cities like Denver are seeing a massive influx of people coming from California because people can't afford to live here. But also it's being overrun by illegal Mexicans and, not undocumented immigrants. We don't use no euphemisms here, all right?
Are y'all still on the move to secede, Jeremy?
I don't know how serious the movement is, but it's going to break California up into 3 states. And I'm in the best part. If that happens based on the lines that they've drawn so far, I would be in favor of that. And it's got roughly, I think they said like 13 million people per state or something like that. So they broke it up evenly. So I don't know. It could be interesting.
Well, I think it's a big thing. One thing that we're getting asked here is the problem with illegal immigrants again and illegal immigrants. And I really think if we get rid of the welfare state, if we get rid of welfare in this country and food stamps and all the other EBT cards, it's not sexy to come here anymore. So I think if you stop taking care of people who are looking for free handouts, and that's not just from people outside of the United States, that's from within the United States, I think that would get rid of a lot of problems because you're enabling people.
People will still come here because I don't think that's a strong enough draw in itself. Like if the state of Mexico and Central America, which is where a lot of these are coming from as well, if the state of these countries weren't absolute shitholes, excuse my language, then they wouldn't have the motivation to leave in the first place because it's a lot of work, dude. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of risk to come across the border, especially if you're coming across illegally. 80% roughly of women get raped when they're going across the border. It's displacing your family. It's a lot of work and a lot of stress. You don't just do that because, I'm going to get a free ride over there. It's going to be a little bit easier than here. They're getting tortured by gangs down there. Their economy is terrible. They're living in slums. I don't know if you've ever been across the border, just right across, like from Nogales down to Mexico. It's like mountains are covered. It looks like India. It's just a shanty town.
When you say that, I mean, they just happen to be next door. But does that mean we should just take in all the women who are being sex trafficked all over the Philippines? Should we just start taking them in too? And then should we take in all the poor people I'm not
saying we should do anything with those. I'm saying that's their motivation for leaving. And if Mexico would fix that problem, if we got on Mexico's leadership to fix their problems down there and stop being run by criminal gangs and drug money, maybe if we had a wall to stop the trade of drugs coming across the border to, you know, take some money out of the pockets of the gangs, it would hurt a little bit. It won't stop it, but it would hurt a little bit. You know, there's a lot of different. It's a multivariable situation where we can reduce the motivation for leaving, not necessarily reduce their motivation for coming here necessarily.
Also, we haven't been too successful though with nation building. Not just, I mean, with, you know.
I don't think we do nation building. I think we call it building, but we just take a bunch of bulldozers and bombs over there and we just level everything, and then we say we're building. I haven't seen one building that's been built in the last 20 years that I've been alive.
It's because we blow it up. We blow it up right after.
They cut the red tape in front of the building and they say, "All right, boys," and then a bomb just comes down and just levels it.
I'm surprised Trump's not on the whole nation building thing, being a commercial real estate guy. You'd think he'd be like, "Oh man, Iraq's gonna have the most beautiful buildings across Fallujah."
Comments, and Jeremy, you're mentioning why not help them versus hurt them, but then we talk about how we don't, you know. As a conservative, I'm going to talk about this whole term border in itself. Why are we putting ourselves out there? You know, if we are a nation, if we're our own separate nation, we are our own separate nation. Why can I be against helping, you know, the Rwanda crisis, which I wasn't against helping. I think that we should have intervened there. But why aren't we going to help there? And we're going to be utilitarians everywhere else in the world. And then why do we have to do that? We're America. We're Americans. This is the United States. And I mean, I hate to be too frank, but why are we? I mean, I know we need to extend our love in certain cases, such as Rwanda, such as incidents like that. But why are we putting? I mean, and I don't know how you would want to extend any help. Are you talking military? What is the suggestion here? Because those are lives.
No, my suggestion is to tell whoever the president of Mexico is that we're going to press the big red button on them. He needs to do the same thing he did to North Korea on Mexico and say, hey, if you don't get your act together, we're going to start taking punitive action against you, against their government, you know, like put some tariffs on them.
Would liberals be happy with Donald Trump tweeting at the president of Mexico saying, "I'm gonna, you know, my button's bigger than your button and my button works"?
No. It's a completely unrealistic It's an unrealistic solution, but the game's going to change. The game is going to change once terrorists start coming from the southern borders, and they're starting to. There's a lot of Middle Eastern terrorists that are organizing down in Central and South America right now. Brazil, I think it was Brazil or Argentina. One of those countries has a large population of Middle Eastern people down there. And not all of them have, let's just say, the best intentions. So once that starts developing, and once these people, if the terrorists they're dead serious and they're looking for a weak point, they're going to use the open border as a way to get through, a way to attack us. And then the whole story is going to change. So I think there's going to be a point in the future where we wake up and the whole narrative with the border is going to change completely, because we haven't seen any big incidents happening with the border up until this point. When we see things start to happen with the border, people are going to wake up and realize, okay, well, maybe we need, maybe we need to actually do something down here. Because at that point, it's not going to be about illegal immigrants. It's going to be about actually attacking our country. That's just at some point in the near future. I think in the near future, in my opinion.
Sorry, I was reading comments alongside that. Cut, what do you have to say? Because I've thrown things, Jeremy's thrown things. I want you to chime in more too.
Are we still talking about the border?
I think we answered the question about the border. Yeah, I think we now know.
Here's my thing. Listen, if there's a fucked up nation, whether it's Mexico or whether it's the Middle East or whether it's anywhere else, that's their fucking problem, I think. I don't want to get involved. Build the biggest wall you can build. Shoot anyone who tries to come across the border. I don't care if they're a criminal or not a criminal. They're a criminal once they cross the border. That's my take. That's just my opinion.
Stolen name.
I know I'm not heartless, but I get it. I get where
I am heartless.
I'm not saying that Cut's heartless, but
he is heartless. I've seen it. He's heartless.
This is the whole
Canada too, Richard. Mexico, even Guam, even though they're a U.S. territory. Anyone that comes over here.
Build a wall around Hawaii.
Yeah.
Out of lava.
I don't know. I like to talk policy. I don't like to talk feelings. So once we talk, real genuine policy over the feelings of these people, yeah, I know it sucks. And if I weren't an American, I would want in as well. But there's a right way and a wrong way. And that's just straightforward, factual presentation.
I talk to people that have been down to, what's that name of that shitty town? Tijuana. They'll go down to Mexico, and they'll and as Americans, and they'll get in trouble down there. They get robbed down there, and if you went down there and tried to ask for the shit that they ask for here, it would be unbelievable the response that they would get. If you go down there and start trashing the president as an American, just walk into Mexico, go there and trash the president, ask for free shit, and ask for sanctuary and asylum, and see what happens to you. Just see what happens to you. I think they got that part right. I think Mexico's got that part right. You come here, we'll fucking throw you in jail. We'll fucking kill you. Or we'll give you hard labor like they do in North Korea. Next thing you'll look like Otto, who's shipped back to the United States with something messed up with his head and then just die in a few days. That's what they do in these other countries. But we're supposed to be these higher moral character because we're the most powerful nation in the world with 322 million people. And we're supposed to just take care of everyone else's problems.
Because
I don't
feelings.
think so. Not because of feelings. That's not fucking.
Because of voters.
It is of voters, yeah. I mean, it's a democratic agenda, definitely.
Qatar brings up a good point in chat. Walls do work, and we can, China built the Great Wall, and they don't have any Mexicans. I thought that was funny. Good one, Tara.
I like that too.
All right, Danielle, what's on your big topic? Your compendium of topics.
I'm getting called.
You're talking about my list of topics that I like.
Yeah. What do you got? What do you guys got? I brought up the shooting thing. That's what I wanted to talk about. What do you guys got?
I have the Iran nuclear deal up next.
We talked about that last week, or is there developments?
Oh, I mean, besides the fact that.
Way to build it up and knock it down there, Jeremy.
I mean,
good news.
Okay, never mind.
News,
see my page if you want to know more about the Iran nuclear deal.
Moving on. No. I just want to know what the developments are. That was my question.
No, I mean, really, besides that, the fact, there's issues, obviously, at the border of Gaza, and then Israel.
Is that related to the Iran deal, the Gaza stuff that went on the other day?
It's in relation to the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem as well, rioting, and I don't know too much about Gaza, so I don't want to talk too much about Gaza because I looked more into the deal itself, and I know more about the deal itself and its issues with the different provisions of the deal than I do about what's currently, in Gaza. I know that they're saying that it's I believe the Hamas terrorist organization, and they lost 52 out of the 61 people killed in Gaza were part of this terrorist organization, and now everyone's upset about it. And it's like, well, I mean, get the hell off the border.
It seems like they wanted people to die, so there would be attention brought to the whole thing, so they'd have a body count, so they could say, hey, look at what they're doing to us, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, beyond advancements from what we said last week, everyone thinks that either it's a great idea or it's a horrible idea. The majority thinks it's a horrible idea just because the media is pushing it as a horrible idea. Other countries are against our decision to pull out. I've lost foreign followers over this situation. I mean, people are really genuinely pissed about the fact that Donald Trump decided to pull us from it, but it was beneficial for us. Economically, we can just put that aside. Iran's economy is BS, but they can't use the money that they will be using to pay for the U.S. oil sanctions cannot be used to fund terrorist organizations, cannot be used to further initiate terror in the Middle East. And there's a huge essay basically on my page, that's just my opinion, that I write about this. And Iran's depleted economy they're depleting the economy. It sucks to suck. And I mean, we can be all feelings about this, but it's great for us because why do we trust them? When did we start trusting them? After they took hostages in 1979. I mean, they've proven to us time and time again that they can't be trusted. And then, you know, I'm not even going to say what I want to say, but Obama comes into office and all of a sudden we trust Iran. We trust the Middle East. Everybody's great. Everything's good. But in reality, there's been, you know, they weren't even, it wasn't assured that they were holding up their end of the deal. One of the provisions was that they had to disclose all of the documentation and evidence surrounding their nuclear program development, and they put it in some damn place called Atomic Archive in Tehran. I put a link in my page about that as well. I mean, Iran has been less than cooperative with the deal this far. The deal's a joke to begin with.
That's what I heard about it. It was a big joke to begin with.
And then in 2025, whenever it takes them about 3 months to develop a bomb because the rest of their technology programs are still efficiently running just because they shut down the nuclear program, which in reality, who believes that they actually shut down their nuclear program? Because I don't.
Well, we were also supposed to give them warning before we went over there to see if they were following, you know, the agreement to the Iran deal. That's like telling a drug dealer, hey, we're going to be over at your place tomorrow at 2 p.m.
Oh, great. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for letting me know, man. I'll go ahead and fix this problem real quick. So it's just, but again, the not the big L, little libertarian in me says who gives a fuck once again about everything that's going on in the Middle East. The Iran deal was stupid. I think we can all agree on that a little bit. I don't want any bargaining. I don't want anything. I think I'm also not an isolationist. Just non-intervention. I don't want to intervene in anyone else's problems. Let them all kill each other. I know everyone loves Israel too. My Republican friends love Israel, but they want to be a sovereign nation. Let Israel take care of its own problems. Yes, they're our only big ally in the Middle East, but if they can't defend themselves, why do I got to defend? And they have a hell of a military, by the way. It's not like Israel's weak. They're a sovereign nation. They can take care of themselves, and if they can't, it's not our problem.
Well, they're attacking already. I mean, they're making moves against, Gaza, like we're talking about. They're making attacks as well. They're doing these, I don't know. I need to look more into
Palestine's not a country, by the way.
It's not like they're non-aggressors in this situation, but I do believe in, I'm so conservative. I don't want us to reach out unless it's like a Rwanda crisis where people are dying in like mass majority numbers. They can't help themselves, like civil war. Like whoever doesn't know about Rwanda crisis, RWANDA, Africa, look it up. That's something that the U.S. needs to intervene on, which we did not. Why are we?
We might need to intervene in South Africa here.
Yeah, South Africa, we're not doing anything for.
I mean, that's exactly what it is. We don't get anything from them, which I mean, I get it. But then
who's going to come to our aid? Let's say there's a big tragedy in the United States. Let's say there's genocide happening in the United States. Who's going to come help us out?
Japan.
Nobody. The only superpower. Japan. The one superpower. Since the end of the Cold War, we are recognized as the only superpower. So we come to everyone's aid, even when they don't like it. Who remembers Somalia? When we were aiding and being humanitarians there, and then they literally spit on the bodies of American soldiers as they drug them through the streets. These American soldiers who were helping, they were doing nothing but bringing these starving Somalians food, shelter, aid, and they just had this giant revolt. And I mean, why? Like, we didn't even need to be there. We did not need to be there. It was one of Bill Clinton's first giant issues that he took on in office in like 1993, I believe. I hate intervening where we don't belong. And there are certain situations, very, very, very circumstantial, that I would say, yeah, like, let's intervene, but let's not get our heads blown off in the process. Let's not drag bodies through the streets in the process.
There's an Ebola outbreak in Congo. You guys hear about that?
Hasn't that been going on for like 30 years?
No, new one.
There's another one I didn't hear about that, Jeremy. I did.
This is Ebola 2.0.
Another strand. No, yeah, I heard about that.
Well, it's there's already like 26 deaths, and the problem with this one is it's like an outbreak near a big city. So it could go.
Let's bring some refugees from Congo.
Just a PSA for anyone watching: don't make any travel plans to Congo right now.
In case you guys were thinking about taking the kids to Congo this year.
I heard there's cheap vacations. I mean, currency's pretty devalued there.
Wow.
Cut. What do you got?
News is old news. What does everyone else want to talk about?
Deadpool 2. Deadpool 2 came out this weekend.
Don't ruin it.
Here comes the spoilers.
Guess what happens at the end?
Spoilers.
What? Everybody sign off. No.
Spoiler alert for everyone watching.
No, I didn't see it.
We ruined it. I thought you did see it. I thought you said you were going to watch it.
No,
that was
Deadpool.
Chris. Yeah, okay, yeah. Huh.
Nope, didn't see Deadpool 2. Here's the thing. So today, the guest we were supposed to have on did not show up, and he was supposed to come on. He's a huge deal.
You already called him out in the last episode. Remember?
Call him out again.
But like mass shooters, I just don't feel I should mention his name.
Boo.
And give him. So what I will say though is next weekend we are going to have a guest that will be here.
An actual present guest.
They will be here. I am just loading it up so I don't say the wrong guest.
Should not
CNN
make copy our secretary. This is a bad idea.
Hold on, I got it here. You guys keep talking while I'm watching McDonald's fights. Hold on, let me find this.
He played twice.
Yeah, the guy played twice.
And I guess I'm the only one who's mad enough to talk about it.
Okay,
this is why we need to announce the guests. We need to announce the guests on Facebook and link them so there's social pressure behind it now. You know what I mean?
Let's rip this guy's reputation.
We have a confirmed guest for May 27th, next Sunday, 7:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Drum roll.
He is a leading candidate for the Libertarian Party going into 2020. I have interviewed him before. If you guys don't know what libertarianism is, this guy will be more than happy to explain it to you. His name is Adam Kokesh. You can watch his videos on YouTube, Adam versus the Man. Be prepared for some serious debating because I think I think there's going to be some hell breaking loose, but it'll be fun. There's going to be no animosity, I don't think. But you never know.
Civil.
We're all civil people. But between Danielle being the super staunch conservative and Trump supporter, me being a libertarian Trump supporter, and
I think what I'm going to do for that one, I'm going to be the anti-libertarian for that episode. One of the things that I wanted to integrate into the show is an idea that I stole from somebody else, where one of us, we can randomize it or roll a dice at the beginning of the show or something. One of us can be the opposite for the whole show. So all the viewpoints that you think you like, you need to do the opposite of all those for the whole show. So I think maybe I'm going to try that one. I'm going to see if I can grill Kokesh on some of the libertarian viewpoints and see what happens. Because like you said, Danielle, if you're unable to argue the opposite side's points, then you don't truly know your own ideas.
Yeah, what is knowledge if you're unable to hear both sides and then go back and critique your own understanding of it and assure yourself that you do have the full understanding of it? You need to hear both sides so that you're able to debate the other side, et cetera, you know. But I have both apps on my phone, CNN and Fox. I love to switch back and forth. And I encourage everyone to do the same. Hear everyone's side, even if you're strong Republican, even if you're strong liberal, listen to everyone, even if you don't want to, which I never really enjoy CNN, but you know, I skim through it as quickly as I can.
Well, Sean here says libertarians equal people that like to lose elections, and I thought that was funny because there's a lot of truth to that.
It's true.
But if you ask a lot of people questions that pertain to what the libertarian ideology is, I think you'll find out that more people are libertarian than they are Republican or Democrat. And we're a two-party system. I think we're more of a one-party system for a long time, but I think Donald Trump definitely shook things up coming in as president. But yeah, maybe I'm wrong. We'll find out in 2020 or 2024.
He called me a Trump
2028.
supporter, and I literally spoke out against his invasion in Syria like last week. I don't like to use the term Trump supporter. I do support him as my president, and I respect him in that position. But I will very, very quickly speak out if I think that he is not abiding by the Constitution, or if I think that
Everything is black and white for these people. You got to remember that.
Yeah,
You either full on support him,
but you call me
or
a
you
Trump
don't.
supporter, you're calling me a Nazi, basically, and like, I mean,
That's the
everything.
thing.
I am a supporter of America. So even though I hated Barack Obama's ideology, maybe he was a good family man. I don't know. It appeared that he was a good family man. I want the nation to succeed, even though I don't like Barack Obama. If he did things, I can't say he's the one that got Osama bin Laden, or it happened on his watch, or anything like that. It was a SEAL team that did it, or even if it did happen, I don't know, because I'm kind of a conspiracy theorist at the same time. I do want the nation to succeed no matter who's in office. But as far as ideology is concerned, I support Trump's ideology way more than I supported Barack Obama's. But if he fucks up at the end of the day or does something stupid, I'll call him out on it, just like you said, Danielle. And if Barack Obama did something that I agreed with, I would say that I agreed with it. But it's going to be that'll take me a while to think of something.
Hey, everyone listening, there's a book by Ben Shapiro called The People versus Barack Obama. And it highlights like all of the bullshit that he did in his 8 years in office. It's a great read, and it's got like 8 different chapters, all different scandals. It's great.
Everybody
Who wrote it again?
Ben Shapiro.
Ben Shapiro.
Well, I'll end it on this. I think this is a nice note to play it out on. No matter who's in office, there's always going to be half the country that's pissed off about something. You know, about who's in office or who's who's the leading political party. There's always going to be people, half the country's always going to be pissed off. And that's because of the hyper-partisan media companies that run off of, clickbait and sales. They want you to click. They want to get your attention. They want to feed off of your anger, your fear, all of your negative emotions, because positive emotions don't sell. Negative emotions sell. So, to become less indoctrinated by the mass media, keep watching Degree 45. And also, That's Just My Opinion on Facebook, Cut Productions Inc. on Facebook, and Weekly Narrative on YouTube and Facebook. So that's the spiel I got for you guys for this week. Stay tuned for next week with Adam Kokesh. Thanks for that, Matt. We'll be here again, same time, same place, Facebook and YouTube. If you haven't actually gone and subscribed to the YouTube page, go do that too, because we could get banned off Facebook any second now. I mean, we're talking about building walls and stuff. We're going to get banned immediately if they find out. Go subscribe to the YouTube page, youtube.com/Degree45podcast.
You get my post about the Iran deal.
And do that. And we'll see you guys next week here at Degree 45 Podcast, 7:45 p.m. PST. See you next week, guys. We are out of here.
Bye, guys.
Later, guys.